Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside
and outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Elizabeth Rosner. As the founder and chief educational officer of Debt Free Degree, affectionately known as Dr. Roz, Dr. Roz is a visionary leader dedicated to empowering students achieve their academic dreams without the burden of student loan debt. With a personal education journey marked by an exceptional academic achievement and minimal debt, Dr. Roz has become a beacon of hope and a source of invaluable guidance for students and families navigating the complexities of higher educational financing. Dr. Roz's passion for education is matched by her commitment to cultivating a culture of nonviolence and love, as inspired by the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Through her Love Revolution and the promotion of Nonviolence 365, she encourages individuals and communities to embrace peaceful and compassionate ways of living. It is a pleasure to talk with you today, Dr. Roz. We are really looking forward to this conversation and how we can help kids get through college debt-free.
Yay, 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 yay. I am so delighted to be with y'all. I am just honored that you've chosen me to be a part of your podcast and excited to have this conversation with y'all.
Thank you again for being here. So let's just jump into the why. Your bio is amazing. It tells us who you are and what you do. But what was that turning point, or what was that thing that kind of started you down this path of helping families become debt-free and going through college?
Yes. So I knew from birth that I was going to college. It was not an option. And at that, I was born in the last millennium. And so my parents, it wasn't really an option to do trade school or entrepreneurship, or it was you're going to go get a 4-year degree. And as a family, we do not go into debt for education. And so I just simply thought that that's what everybody did. And so my parents did not open up the beautiful catalog of all the higher ed institutions in the world or in the United States and say, okay, love, where would you like to go? It was, here's your budget and here's what the constraints are. Now you find something within this that we're going to do. And so it was not until 2005 that I started realizing what a crisis this was, because I started hearing students talking about, I'm taking the maximum amount of loans. And at that time, you could take out more loans than you actually owed to the school. And so you could use that extra to live off of. Some people were truly living off of it. Some people were living large off of it. Some people were having parties and buying hoop-de-doo cars and living in like really nice places. And, I kept saying, you've got to pay that back. And so that was really where the debt-free degree piece came in. The nonviolence piece did not happen until 2018. So I don't know if you necessarily want me to go there too, and kind of how it converged, but that's the debt-free degree piece. And I know that we're on video, and I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but this gentleman right here, he was a student in 2005, and I helped him earn his debt-free degree. And he is now a dad to 12 beautiful children, and his wife homeschools all 12 beautiful children. And baby number 12 is named Elizabeth after me. So I'm so deeply honored about that. But that is a picture of me and Shaheen and his 6 oldest kids who are in middle school, high school, and college. All of them are on track to earn a debt-free degree.
That is amazing and exciting. And wow. Yeah.
So we didn't do that. So both of us were the first of our families to graduate from college. So we are so we had no idea before we got to college what college was like doing. But again, we graduated in 92, 93. And so we ended up both with around like $15,000 to $20,000 in debt, which back then was quite a bit. Right now that's like less than
outlandish.
Right now that's like less than 1/4 tuition. Right. But back then, so it took us. It was and when we graduated and we had those all combined, it was pretty burdensome, even though it wasn't that very big. Yeah. And the way the student loans are structured, it's almost like a lifelong debt now.
Yes.
And so You know,
Yes.
I've even seen videos online of people who say, yeah, I've been paying my student loans for 15 years. I've been paying extra. And I finally went and looked at it, and my principal balance is only down by $3,000.
Yes.
And I've paid like $50,000 back to my loan. How can it only be down $3,000? So
Yes.
right now, it's like our debt system is like completely screwed up. They're creating
Yes.
debt slaves out of our college students.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so what you're talking about right now for people who might not have gone to college and want their kids to go to college,
Right.
Super
listen
important.
up,
Yeah.
because you don't want your children to be debt slaves to an
No.
education,
Mm-mm.
especially right now because our education system is pretty screwed up, which is why we go talk about homeschooling so much.
Yes. Yes, yes. And on top of that, Herb, there are some student loans. So, if you take out a loan for a car, you take out a loan for a home, then you do have an asset that you can sell to recoup some of that. Hopefully, you're not upside down on that, but even so, you could recoup some of that. And if you pass away and that debt is passing to your heirs, they too have something that they can sell to recoup that. When
Right.
you have a degree and that is in your head and you pass away, that knowledge cannot be sold. However,
Mhm.
there are some student loans that debt goes to your heirs.
No
Not all of
way.
them, but there are some that do. And so
I did not
they
know.
have to pay off those student loans. Yes, it is predatory. It is indentured servitude.
I did not realize that that happened. I thought whenever you passed away, your student loans, because they're tied to you, just
Mhm.
disappeared. But oh my
Some do and
goodness.
some don't. Right.
Okay. Good to
Right.
know. Do you have specific names for the ones that do or don't? I mean, it's one of those things that if they have a choice, let's not go down this loan path.
Well, so everything that I do is geared towards exactly not of saying no to student loans.
Yeah.
Now, where I get some pushback are from like financial advisors who
Uh-huh.
are looking at, okay, you've got X amount of money in the market. You can make this amount of money. If you take the loan, then it's this amount of interest rate. Well, then my head explodes because
Right.
that's not my target audience.
Mhm.
I don't want to get stuck on the don't take loans. It's the stuck on don't have the debt.
Right.
So that's the simplest way that I explain it is let's just say no to loans.
Yeah,
Um,
and that if there are so many ifs in those statements, it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, if you get a job that makes that much money, and just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're not still going to end up as a barista at Starbucks.
Right.
right,
And so,
right,
there are so many people out there with college
right,
degrees who are ending up with very low end jobs, having nothing whatsoever to do with with what
right.
they went to college for.
Right, right. I even so my educational trajectory is that I have 3 degrees, including my PhD, and I only took $1,000 in loans. And it was because I qualified for Pell Grant in college and I was on the quarter system. I actually graduated in 92. So I don't know which of y'all graduated in 92, but I'm right there with y'all. So the Pell Grant didn't pay in the summer. And so I realized I needed to take a summer quarter, and so I went into financial aid, which was there to aid me to get scholarships. That was in my mind what financial aid does. And I said, I'm looking for some scholarships. And for those of you that are listening, I'm from Georgia. You can probably hear my accent. So I walked into financial aid and I said, hey, I just realized that there's a bill that I've got this summer. I need to apply for some scholarships. And she said, oh, sweetie, we don't have any scholarships, but we have this loan. So here, just sign right here and you can just figure out how to pay it off later. It's just $1,000.
Uh-huh.
And so I had like 2 weeks. Now, again, my parents had said from day one, we do not go into debt for education.
Mhm.
And still, I was like, rock and a hard place. What do I do? Because I didn't plan and I didn't prepare. And because this kind woman said to me, you'll figure out later. Again, $1,000 is not really that much money then or now. It's certainly, it was doable to pay off. However, it's that mindset.
Yeah.
And that was against what I was raised with. Fast forward, I earned my master's completely debt free. I earned my PhD completely debt free. When I graduated with my PhD, and my parents were brilliant and loving and, absolutely, guided me in the very best way that they could. And at that time, it was all about get as much education as you can and you can write your own ticket. And so I got my PhD just like, I was not expected to do, but I really wanted to do. And so I probably applied for over 100 jobs. and did not even get one interview. And so the job that I took right after I earned my PhD, I had been staying at home, and there were some family dynamics of why I wasn't working full time while I was in school. But I was ready to go back and into full time employment, and wanted to go back into higher ed, and could not get any teaching jobs with a PhD, even though you can write your own ticket. And so I took a job that actually required a high school diploma.
Yep.
And that I took that position because I knew that the director of that unit was going to be retiring in a year and a half. So I
Wow.
took the position so that I could apply for that position. And that is a whole different trajectory. I think that you all are people of faith, and your listeners are people of faith, and God was like, "Oh, Elizabeth, that's not what we had for you. We had this whole other thing built for you." But you can imagine how demoralizing it was that was the only job that I could get.
When I went to college in 1988, it's like the best paying jobs were in middle management America. And that's like, so I went to college to get a business degree. And in 1990, 1991, across the United States, the words that became ingrained in my mind tragically was the restructuring of corporate America, and they got rid of middle management across America. So when I graduated in 92, there were 50,000 people with years of experience in the job market that I had just got a degree, and I ended up in retail management. And there were people that were coming in off the street shopping, and I would get them jobs in management. And it's like they didn't, so it was like completely my degree was basically wasted. And then I ended up in technology, working at a microelectronics firm, a little small one called Intel. You might have heard of it.
Oh, I think I have heard of that.
Yeah, and had zero whatsoever to do with any degrees or any education.
Except the blessing there is that Intel would only hire people with degrees.
But it didn't use my degree at all.
Didn't use this specific.
Right. Now that's a whole nother conversation about organizations that put those stipulations in place. It's a little bit like, you got to layer this on to prove that we need this, and you got to layer this on. And I know I asked a friend who is in student affairs. I said, why is it that every single school has the hoop-to-do dorm and the hoop-to-do gym? And she said, we got to compete. We can't, and that's, it's like as prices go up, then these prices go up and these prices go up, and, and then it's just so inflated. And I think that we are on the cusp of really a realignment in higher education. I think y'all are seeing that in the P12 system as well. So,
yeah, especially in college, I kind of got to bring this up because we are talking about financing and stuff. But right now, Jordan Peterson has the Peterson Academy, and it's an online college education, and they're working on certification so that people can get jobs. But it's like you can get world-class education there at a fraction of the price. And so I've actually been looking at taking some classes through the Peterson Academy as well.
Excellent. That's excellent.
But for a lot of tech jobs, for a lot of very specific kind of work, you do need a college degree. And so for people who are going to college for that is you're still very, very helpful. So for instance, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a lawyer, you do have to go teacher. You have to go there. And so, one of the things that we, through homeschooling especially, is because you do get to find your passion. And then one of the ways we help is go to college for what you're going to do. So many people go to college because they don't know what they're going to do.
They go figure it out once they get there.
And so for those people who are going to be doing that, God bless you. Wish for you the best, and pay attention to this, because you don't want to go into debt slavery for trying to find yourself.
Right. I have a book. So here's a shameless plug of the book, Debt Free Degree. And throughout there, I tell the story of Henry. And Henry went to college to find himself, exactly like you said. Henry was very strong in his faith. And so he went to a private faith-based institution, which means it was private, so tuition was high. It also means that it did not transfer to the in state institutions where the tuition was lower. Many of the classes did not necessarily transfer. And when I encountered Henry, a bachelor's degree is usually about 120 credit hours. He had over 200 credit hours, and not exaggerating, had changed his major 5 times.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
He had over something like $75,000, $80,000 in debt when I encountered him. And I put him on a path. Of course, I couldn't do anything about what he'd already accrued.
Correct.
Put him on a path, and he didn't have his degree either.
Right.
And so I put him on a path to finish that bachelor's degree at that, private institution. He did it in 2 semesters because, again, he only needed 5 classes, but of course, one was a prereq for the other. And so then he had to go for 2 semesters. So we mapped out a plan for those 2 semesters, and then he got his master's completely debt free, and he is on to his PhD. I've lost track of him. And so I would love to figure out if I could find him again. But he was.
So let's kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So how do you start working on this debt free? So for our parents, it's like, okay, that sounds great. What is a step? How do you do that?
So one I've already mentioned, and that is from birth. When you first have that child come into your home, and you're holding that child, and you're thinking about all the dreams that you have for that child. And if that dream includes some type of education post high school, which I believe 99.9% of jobs do require some type of education post high school, whether it's in entrepreneurship or the Jordan Peterson Academy, or a technical degree, something. And that can be simultaneous, obviously, because there's some places you can graduate high school and with your degree in welding, or with an associate's degree at the same time. That's a different trajectory. Just add the words debt free. Just say you are going to go to college and you're going to do it debt free, because you can set that as your intention, and then that's what's going to happen. And that's how I was able to do my 3 degrees. So just adding that, and I mush it together. It's not hyphenated. It is its own word, debt free degrees, its own word. So that's number 1. Number 2, you cannot start too early on this process. So I only, for Shaheen, who has the 12 kids, I only had in there middle school, high school, and their college kids, but I could have had their elementary school kids in there too, only because they're already having conversations with them about what does it look like to be an entrepreneur. All 12 of them will be entrepreneurs. The youngest one is 2.5. She's not yet an entrepreneur, but all of the older ones, they all have their online businesses and or entrepreneurship businesses. Some of them are online. And it's just having those conversations. But I love starting with the middle school and saying, let's get this mindset today. So what will happen is, there's this cacophony of noise that, number 1, says just take the loans and figure out how to pay it off later. So I need to break through that. And number 2, there's this other cacophony of noise that says, oh, middle school is way too early to think about college. We'll put it off till high school. And then high school will say, I wish I knew this in middle school. And everybody is having this swirl of, you know what? It's never a great time to do a debt-free degree. You know what? It's never a great time to go from the couch where you're 400 pounds to running a marathon. It's just never a great time to start that. It's like, you got to start it today, because it's very, very easy. I mean, we can do this, it's just not that day in, day out perseverance is going to be what it takes. But it's not rocket science. You read this and you go, well, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. There's not like a little nugget in there where I go, put this into a website and, here's $100,000.
Right. That's not going to happen.
No.
No. Yeah.
Start from birth that you're going to graduate debt free, every child that you have access to. And because of y'all's model, then there are a lot of people that are watching that have access to the kids that they are homeschooling, but also, depending on the model, they might be homeschooling a whole bunch of other people's kids and vice versa, and so whoever you have access to, then strongly encourage them to never say yes to a student loan.
I love that. And it goes completely along with all the things that we teach around finance and things like that. It's like, let's start living within our means. That
Mhm.
means you don't have to have the fanciest of everything, right? But that doesn't mean to live at the bottom either, right? But live within your means, know
Yes.
what you can pay for, know what you can't pay for,
Yeah.
make a plan to save up for those things that you really, really want to pay for,
Right.
like a college degree, etc. Those
Right.
kinds of things. And I love that. And having that mindset from the very beginning. It's like,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
do this without the debt. Now, a few words about vibrant family education.
How many entrepreneurs and business owners start out on this journey to make a better life for their family, only to find that it took so much more time and effort than they were expecting that they had even less time for their family? I know I did.
At Vibrant Family Education, we want to help you reach your family goals while you're still building towards your business goals. We do this by bringing you the third leg of the stool to keep your family upright, family education development.
By bringing your children's education home, you will be able to model your work ethic and family values as you overcome obstacles and challenges to build your business. Instead of learning facts to pass tests, your children can be watching and seeing the dedication it takes to build your business and the legacy you want to create for their future. They will be able to witness the struggles and joys, the wins and the losses, and learn from you how to persevere and grow in life.
Instead of waiting until you get successful to spend more time with your family, start with the end goal in mind and bring your family home. Instead of trying to repair your family after you reach success, let us help you start achieving your family goals from the outset. Learn to be successful with your family now, and no matter what happens in the future, they will be better prepared for life, especially after watching how you cared for and built not only a business, but a healthy, happy, and successful family.
We offer a wide range of educational services, including how to easily get started with homeschooling. Come visit us at vibrantfamilyeducation.com and let us show you how. And now, back to our guest. Yeah, and that is actually, I'm going to say, kind of in the woo world thing. It's like if you set that intention and you live by that intention, then that is what's going to happen. And that's about, creating your reality as you go.
Yeah.
And mindset is everything around that. So it's like if
It
you they're so cliche, especially in the sports world. If you see it and you can believe it. And it's also true that if you believe it, then you'll see it. So there's so much of that in how you think. And if you're thinking, oh yeah, well, I know I'm going to have to get student loans, well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then you're going to have to get student loans.
Yes,
But if you get to the point where
Exactly.
internally you know that you can get through it debt free, then the next step is to figure out what the steps are to do that.
That's right.
And
That's right.
So
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what happened with my master's. So I only have one biological child. I have 15 others. Shaheen is one of them that call me mama, but I just have one biological child. He was born in June of 99. And so I was on maternity leave. I went back to work September of 99. And at the very end of that month, I get an email that says, hey, we have some leftover funding and we're looking for folks who want to earn a complete debt-free master's in your field. It starts online. It's an online program, which this is 99. So online was quite unheard of. I was living on a tiny little island in South Georgia called St. Simon's, and this was through San Diego State University. So literally online and nationwide. And it starts in 3 weeks. So we need your GRE scores. We need all your things. I mean, that's exactly what happened, Herb. Is I had set my intention. I knew I wanted my master's. I didn't know how that was going to happen. And then this opportunity fell in my lap. Now, was it easy? No, no, no. It was very simple, but not easy. It took me essentially 9 years.
that's eventually going to be the name of my podcast, is simple, not easy.
Not easy.
Because it's simple to do, but it's also simple not to do.
Yes.
And so a lot of the things, it's like it's really simple steps, but they're not always easy. It takes perseverance, it takes grit, it takes integrity, it takes discipline. And so it's simple, but it's not always easy.
Yes. So I have to say this, Herb, I use the grit blueprint in Debt Free Degree, and you just said grit. So if I could just explain the grit blueprint really quickly, it's easy to remember. The G is grants and scholarships. There is 100 billion with a B, $100 billion in grants and scholarships out there. So when people say no scholarships for me, or, I'm white, there are no scholarships for me, or I'm a mediocre student, there are no scholarships for me, that's a lie. That is such a lie. $100 billion.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
Yes. The R is return on investment, exactly like what you were saying, Christina. Let's live within our means. Let's look at that ROI. The I is interconnection. So work smarter, not harder. And the T is what I call my proven triangle approach. So think of a three-legged stool. There's SM, which is student money. Then there's FM. So your friends, your family, your folks, the people you're familiar with, what are they going to contribute to your degree? And then OPM, which is our favorite. And do y'all know what that is?
Other people's money.
There you go. Yeah. That's what it takes. That's the GRIP blueprint right there. There you go. There's the whole thing on how you graduate debt free.
That's awesome. Because I can hear my parents in the audience sitting here right now. It's like, okay, wait a second. There's other things besides loans. And Dr. Roz just started mentioning them: grants, scholarships, etc. And yeah, not talking with you, but somebody else we talked with. There are some scholarships that elementary school kids can apply and get. Yes. And one of the easiest ones, and I hopefully is still there, I'm not sure, but the backgrounds in Google.
Yes, the Google Doodle.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Google. You can draw a picture, submit it to that to be a background, and if your child gets chosen, it's like $1,000 scholarship towards their school. So right there, elementary school, you can get something.
And that one starts at kindergarten.
It does it. Okay.
Yep.
And they change the drawing every single day. So there's 365 days where a year
they need something.
And so 365 kids get $1,000 scholarship every year for doodling on Google.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So is there another avenue that you feel that you can share that parents can kind of start looking at? Because, they have to go out and search. Is there one big website where they get to go and find all the scholarships in one place? Or is it a little bit grittier than that?
Yeah, I wish that there was. The follow that I recommend on Instagram is the Scholarship Informer. And so she has vetted those scholarships, and all the ones that she posts on Instagram are all phenomenal scholarships. And she has a group program where she works with her students, and my students can take part in that for as little as $25 a month. So it's a group program. It's not a one-to-one individualized program. I do have some families who've worked with her in the group program, but also ones that have worked with her individually. And one family in particular, between her two daughters, it's almost like $100,000 that with scholarships and grants and some things that Dr. Gabrielle has helped them acquire. And again, that was the one-on-one, but still, thinking that I can't do it or whatever, that's half the battle. So once you decide that there's $100 billion out there and there's plenty of money out there for you to go debt free, then you just go find it. Yeah.
And the earlier start, not only can you maybe get debt free, but you can actually make money to go to college. So.
You can. Yes, exactly. Another tip that I would think about is there's 33 states that if you work for their system, their college system, then you get tuition and fees for free as part of being an employee. So there are some schools that say if the parents work there, if one of the parents works there full time, then all of their kids get to go. And so there are parents out there that are very strategically taking these full-time jobs, knowing that they have all these kids. And it's like, some people are
might not pay that well up front, but if you have 5 or 6 kids, that's $500,000 or $600,000 that you're not going to have to pay for college.
Exactly.
And so that it might seem like kind of strange up front, but you save a couple $100,000. That's like a huge bonus.
Right. And 40 hours a week is 24% of your week. So another mindset shift is we all get 168 hours a week. We all get to decide how we're spending that. Yeah. And for people who say, oh, I'm in college, or my kid's in college and they can't work full time, those 40 hours are going to roll by. They're going to do something with those 40 hours. And your community is already so hyper aware of working smarter, not harder. Yeah. Your community is not, they're their little body needs to be sitting in a desk from 7:30 to 2:30. And so they already understand work smarter, not harder. And so how can you maximize, if you needed to be the full-time employee, how can they maximize that 40 hours so they're getting free tuition and fees? It might take them longer. And I was sharing this with actually a good friend of mine who is a dean at one of the institutions that I'm familiar with. And I was sharing with her this, that, you know, at many schools that, you know, if you work full time, that's a way that students can earn a debt-free degree. And she goes, no, students don't get free tuition. And I said, I'm not talking about like student worker. I'm talking about being an actual employee. Like, what are the jobs in higher ed that do not yet require a college diploma, like working in the cafeteria or on the grounds crew or whatever? She looked at me and she goes, oh, Elizabeth, that would not work. That would throw off our graduation rates.
Well,
Did not realize that was our end point right there. Thank
And
you.
there, another tip is there are a lot of businesses that even if you're working part-time, they will pay for your degree.
Exactly.
I know I met one guy that that had the job that he wanted, and he wanted a promotion, and he needed a degree to get it. So he went out and got a part-time job at another company, and that company was paying for his tuition to get the classes that he needed so that he could get the promotion in the job that he loved. And so it happened to be Walmart. So he had a part-time job at Walmart because Walmart pays for tuition. And then he was working part-time from Walmart, going to school part-time to finish off his degree so that he could get promoted in the job that he had and that he loved. And so if you get creative, if you know it's out there, if you know it's possible, then you can do it. Like I said, when we went through it, we didn't know it was possible.
Right.
So that these kind of ideas weren't out there, and now that they are, it's like more people need to hear about it. So that
yes, because what people often will hear when I'm talking about all these different ways, you can just watch them glaze over and go, that's too hard, or I'm not going to do that, or and I would love for folks like y'all and folks that have 100 grand in debt or 200 grand in debt to say to these young people, let me tell you what's hard.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how hard it is to pay off. I just interviewed actually a former student of mine when I was in higher ed, and she graduated completely debt free. Her husband, however, had $80,000 in debt. So when they got married, they had $80,000 in debt. They created a side hustle that they only did on the weekends. And for 2 years, for 50 weekends a year. So they only had 4 weekends where they were not doing anything in this side hustle for 2 years. And they paid off $80,000. And she said, Elizabeth, we're building a house. What would it have been like if we could have done that side hustle and that 80 grand could have been as a down payment?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's hard to pay off debt. So for those of you that are like, I don't want to think about having to go to Walmart and work part-time to get this degree, to get this promotion, and when you're gonna work hard. So it's choose your heart.
Yeah, choose your heart. Exactly. And I love that, because you can either work part-time as a Starbucks barista or work at Walmart or even drive Uber Eats, right? Because all of those companies help pay tuition. Ding, ding, right there, people. Think about this. And then have that money later for something else, like a house, like your family, like you want, right? Start early. And, especially like our homeschool families, they know that when their kids become 16, they get their driver's license, etc. Well, they've got a great handle on their education, most usually. So then they're ready for a part-time job. Well, guess what? They can start working for those companies earlier, or other companies, and start building up either their nest egg or start doing classes and get those pre-credentials done so that they can go debt free.
And another real big helpful tip is, if you are going to go to college, know why.
Yes.
Know why you're going to go to college. Have a plan. Have
Actually, that was something I was going to ask you. When you work with families, is that part of it? Do you have them really think about why they're actually going and what they're really going for?
Yeah, that's part of the ROI piece.
Yeah.
And so I walk them through this exercise where they go and they compare 4 different schools. So if you know you want a degree in engineering, and that example is in the book. And so, it is actually a student of mine who went through and compared 4 different schools and how different it is if you study engineering at a community college or an in-state state college, or a private hoop-to-do institution, or an out-of-state, very elite state institution. So it is a state institution, but it was out of state for this young man. And looking at all of the costs, because there are some schools that are very straightforward. Here's the tuition, and here's the fees, and here's your bottom line. There's some that are like, here's the tuition. If you choose this room, then that means you've got to choose this level or higher of a meal package. But if you choose this room, then there's this. And then if you choose this room, but this major, well, we're going to add a fee on there. But this major also requires more science classes. So there are more lab fees. So there are more,
Are you kidding me? It's gotten that complicated to go to college now? Oh my golly. Because when we signed up we had our syllabus of classes we need to have to take like 12 credits a term, whatever.
12 to 18.
Straightforward, go
Yes.
get it done. Oh my
Christina,
God.
I want you to know
Yeah.
the most I've ever seen is there's one institution, and this is like 2 years ago, so I'm sure it's gone up by now. The parking fee per semester, the permission to park your car on their asphalt for a semester, $800. $800
For
So-
a year of parking. Are
no,
you
no,
kidding
for a
me?
semester. No, ma'am, for a semester, $1,600.
For 3 months.
Holy cow.
$800 a semester. Yes. So you really have to look at those fees.
Yeah. Or do you really need a car? One or the other, right?
Precisely. So when you think about, if you can picture this in your mind, so there's X amount of, this is how much a full tuition costs, times this is how many semesters I need to be there. That's why you need a plan. And this is my overall cost. Well, how do you bring this number down? You reduce one or the other or both.
Yeah.
So if you know that you want to go to that school, then maybe you don't do just 12 hours a semester. Maybe you do 18 hours, or maybe you do 21 hours, and maybe you eat, sleep, and breathe so you can get out of there 6 semesters.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you've lowered it this way. Because
I
otherwise,
took 24 credits one semester, and it was like, yeah, and I'm not going to do that again.
Have to be able to handle it, but
right. But Herb, would you do it again if you knew you were going to be debt free at the end?
Oh,
probably.
Wow, that would be a tough one. I might drop it to 21 or to 18.
Okay.
But 24, yeah, that was a bit much. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. But
do you see the calculation you're making? You're making an ROI calculation right there, and good for you, because
and I'm gonna actually like tell on myself. It's like, I didn't go to college to get a degree. I am a super smart individual. I knew I was going to get a degree. I went to college with a plan to find a wife. And so I found my wife, and worked out
well for you, sir.
Yeah. So in 1989 is when I met her, and we have been together ever since. And so, I totally went to college to find a wife, because the degree and everything else was going to happen because I was smart. So that totally was
the
best investment I ever made, even though I did end up going into debt for it.
Thank you.
What if I told you, though, you could find the love of your life and go debt free?
Right? Again,
see,
back at that time, as both of us were the first of our families to go to college, that had no clue. Clue.
Right.
Awesome.
Wouldn't have even thought to look it up, because these words, these ideas weren't even in the peripheral. It's like, no, that's not how you go to college. So
well, and actually we have a young person in our life right now who her adults in her life hadn't gone to college. And so luckily a friend of hers at high school took her under their wing and said, hey, have you started looking at scholarships? Have you started looking at how to get to college? Because we know you want to go.
She just got a full ride to Bozeman.
She just got a full ride
to Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
Yay, that's huge.
It is huge.
Yay.
So thankfully somebody had conversation. So that's the other thing that I just want to put out there for everybody who's listening in this audience. Check in with other families.
Yes.
Maybe you know someone who maybe their parents haven't gone to college. Make
Yeah.
sure those kiddos get in this loop and understand, hey, these are the steps that you might want to take now if you're looking at college.
Or just throw that concept out there and have them, hey, look, you can get through college debt free. And
Let's go
there are
find you some
people,
resources.
there are people like Dr. Roz who actually help people figure that out too.
Yeah. So if folks go to my website, it's drroz.love. All the pages on my website have .love at the end. So drroz.love/DFD. They go there, they sign up, they get a free chapter of the book, they get access to when I do my free webinars. So I do these webinars twice a month where I lay out the entire group blueprint. I answer questions, they ask questions, and do laser coaching because I want this information out there. I really, really do. I'm getting ready.
And all that information will be in our show notes.
Absolutely.
Down below.
Excellent. Yeah. So there's a lot of free resources out there. So.
And I appreciate that because that was my next question. I was just going to ask you, how do they find you? And now they know. Good.
Yes.
Perfect.
Good.
Awesome.
I had no idea that's what you were going to say. So.
And even though there are resources out there, again, if you don't know to look for them, you will never find them. So now hopefully we'll get this out. More people will know how to look for them and how to find them.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on?
Oh, that's so open. There are a million things because it all comes back to being love-centered.
Mm-hmm.
How do you love yourself enough to graduate fully debt-free from college? How do you love yourself enough to say yes to the best, say no to all that other stuff so you can really, really zone in on what your zone of genius is, and really do what's best for you. What's so delightful is that oftentimes I'm talking to people who are in, institutions that might have, 3,000 students. And so that's kind of a cookie cutter approach oftentimes. What's phenomenal about talking to you two is when I say, love yourself enough to do what's right for you. Y'all have put in this whole infrastructure so that people understand when I say that, what that means. They're already empowered. They already have that agency. And so that's why you're the perfect people to get this message out, because your folks are eager to try the best thing that works for them. And I believe graduating debt-free is the best thing that works for every single student.
It would have been really good for us.
Yeah. And our two boys who were born around that time and.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Dr. Roz, thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate you being on the show, all the tips and wisdom that you've dropped here. Parents, audience, people who are listening, make sure that you're finding those gold nuggets that were just dropped in the show. Pick them up, take them with you, and then use them every single day to help you and your child be happy, healthy, and successful.
Yep. Thank you for being here, Dr. Roz. This is such valuable information. And thank you for having the bravery to put it out there to the world. Because, so many people, again, see the problem and don't know what to do or don't try and help other people. And you're out there being a hero, helping other people,
giving solutions.
So thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for coming. And it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks. I appreciate y'all so much. I appreciate your audience. Thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. All right, audience, that is it for today. Make sure you leave a like, review, a comment. We need all of those so that these messages can get out to other families and make a difference. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now. Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts